Wow, okay. Looks like someone's been doing their homework. You've sent us a whole mountain of stuff on AI, articles, research, even a podcast transcript. So you're really digging deep into this, huh? I get it. Want to figure out if the machines are really going to take over, like in those sci-fi movies.
Well, you're not alone. AI is kind of a big deal right now. Feels like every day there's some new crazy breakthrough or headline about how it's changing everything.
Right, and it's not just hype either. One article even straight up said artificial intelligence is taking over.
Yeah.
No beating around the bush, huh? But you know what? They might actually have a point. You've pointed out all these examples where AI is already a part of our lives, working behind the scenes. It's kind of freaky how much we don't even realize.
It really is. Think about it. AI is sorting your emails, recommending videos, probably even helping you navigate traffic. It's become this invisible force shaping our digital world.
Yeah, so it's not like robots marching down the street. Right, it's more subtle. Sneaky algorithms making decisions for us, influencing our choices without us even knowing. Like, is Netflix really showing me what I like or just manipulating me into watching more, you know?
That's a good question. But hey, let's not get all doom and gloom just yet. Those articles you sent, they don't just focus on the negative. There's a lot of really exciting potential in AI too. Some of it's pretty mind-blowing stuff, honestly.
Okay, yeah, lay it on me. What kind of amazing world-changing stuff are we talking about here?
Well, there's this one article that talks about AI in agriculture. Forget your grandpa's tractor. We're talking cutting-edge algorithms. They can analyze satellite images to, like, optimize irrigation and fertilizer use. Imagine cutting water waste by, like, 30% while actually growing more food.
Wow, so AI is helping farmers grow more and do it sustainably. That's amazing. But okay, I gotta ask, what about the taking over part? Do any of these articles actually talk about whether AI could actually become, like, smarter than us?
That's where things get really interesting. Yeah. You pointed out some research on artificial general intelligence, or AGI. It's basically the idea that AI could actually think and reason like a human, not just do specific tasks.
So not just beating us at chess, but actually understanding why they're making those moves, maybe even coming up with brand new strategies. That sounds pretty sci-fi.
It is. And while AGI is still mostly theoretical, there have been some crazy developments in AI lately, especially with language models. Think about something like GPT-4. It can write poetry, code software, even have conversations that sound like a real person.
Whoa, hold on. AI writing poetry. Seriously. Is there anything these things can't do?
That's the big question, isn't it? But, let's not get carried away. At the end of the day, the research you sent really emphasizes that AI is a tool, a super powerful tool for sure, but still a tool that we control. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Right. I get it. A hammer can build a house, or it can, cause some damage. Depends who's swinging it. So who's holding the hammer when it comes to AI? Who's making the decisions?
Well, that's one of the big concerns that comes up in this material. Right now, a lot of the power is concentrated in the hands of a few big tech companies. They've got the resources, the data, and the know-how to really drive AI development.
So the future of AI is basically in the hands of Silicon Valley. That's kind of exciting, but also kind of scary, right? Do we really want to give that much power to just a few companies? And what about all those potential risks? I know you flagged some of that in the stuff you sent. Maybe we should dig into that a bit more.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And a good place to pick things up in the next part of our deep dive.
So we've talked about how AI is already woven into our lives and how it could help us solve some major problems. But we also touched on those potential downsides. And honestly, some of that stuff is pretty unsettling. Where do we even begin with all that?
Well, one article you sent zeroes in on how AI could affect the economy. And it's not exactly a rosy picture. It argues that all this automation, all these AI-powered systems, could lead to a lot of people losing their jobs.
Yeah, the whole robots taking our jobs thing. I gotta admit, that's one of the things I worry about the most with all this AI stuff.
It's definitely a valid concern. But the article also suggests that maybe it's not just about replacing humans altogether. Maybe AI will just fundamentally change the types of jobs we do.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it. What if AI took over all the boring, repetitive tasks? The stuff no one really wants to do anyway. That would free up humans to focus on more creative, strategic, fulfilling work.
Okay, so maybe it's not mass unemployment, but a massive shift in what kind of work we do. So we need to adapt, retrain, learn new skills.
Exactly. We got to start thinking about the skills that will be most valuable in an AI-driven world. Things like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, The stuff that makes us human that AI can't replicate.
Right, right. Those soft skills everyone's always talking about. But learning a whole new career, that's not easy, especially for people who've been doing the same thing for years.
Absolutely. That's why we need a plan, a way to manage this transition smoothly. The article suggests that governments, businesses, and schools all need to work together. We need to create programs that help people adapt and learn new skills.
So we got to anticipate these changes and be proactive, not wait until people are already out of work and struggling.
Exactly. Prevention is better than cure.
Okay, that makes sense.
And speaking of potential risks, another article you flagged digs into data privacy and security in the age of AI.
Oh yeah, that one was a bit creepy. The basic idea is the more data we feed these AI systems, the smarter they get. But that also means they know more about us, right? Our habits, our preferences, maybe even our deepest secrets.
It's a classic double-edged sword. On one hand, AI can use this data to personalize our experiences, make our lives easier, maybe even improve our health. But on the other hand, it raises serious questions about who has access to all this data. How's it being used? How can we protect our privacy?
Yeah, the article talked about the need for regulations and transparency, right? We need to know what data is being collected, how it's being used, and who's profiting from it.
Absolutely. We need to make sure our data is being used responsibly and ethically, not just to make some big tech company richer. And that's where the whole idea of data ownership comes in.
Data ownership. Wait, do we even own our data?
That's a big debate right now. Some people say we should have complete control over our data. Who collects it, how it's used, who profits from it. Others argue that data is a collective resource, something that should be used to benefit everyone.
That's a tough one. So what about the companies developing all this AI? Do they have a responsibility to make sure this technology is used responsibly?
That's a key question, and it's something that comes up a lot in the stuff you sent over. It's not just about governments and regulators stepping in. The companies building these systems need to prioritize ethical development. They need to build in safeguards to protect privacy, prevent bias, and ensure transparency.
So baking those ethical considerations in from the start, not just trying to fix things after the fact.
Exactly. And it's not just about ethics, it's about trust. If people don't trust AI, they won't use it. And if they don't use it, we miss out on all the potential benefits.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to see the bigger picture. It's not just about cool technology or making money. It's about building a future where AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
Exactly. And that's the future we need to actively shape, not just sit back and watch it happen. Which brings us to another big theme that came up in your research: education and engagement.
Oh, you mean we can't just leave it to the experts? We all need to get involved in this AI conversation.
Absolutely. This isn't just something for tech companies and politicians to figure out. It affects all of us. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI.
Okay, I like that, but what does that actually look like? How do we as everyday people get involved in something as complex as AI?
Well, the first step is education. We need to understand the basics. How AI works, its potential benefits and risks, the ethical stuff.
So AI 101 for everyone.
Exactly. There are tons of resources out there. Online courses, books, podcasts, documentaries. They break down complex ideas in a way that anyone can understand.
So no excuses for ignoring this and hoping it goes away.
Nope. No hiding from the future.
Right.
The more we understand AI, the better equipped we are to have informed conversations. We can advocate for responsible development and demand accountability from the people in charge.
I like it. It feels like we've covered so much ground already, but I know there's one big piece of the puzzle left: AI governance. How do we regulate something this powerful on a global scale?
That is the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what we'll be diving into next.
All right, so we've talked about the potential of AI, the good and the bad, the impact on jobs and all that, and how important it is for everyone to be informed and engaged. But now for the big question: AI governance. How do we create rules for something as powerful and complex as AI? Especially when it's changing so fast, it's like, I don't know, trying to herd cats.
Yeah, that's a good one. But it's not impossible. We're not starting from scratch here, We already have frameworks for governing other powerful technologies, things like nuclear energy or biotechnology.
Oh, okay. So we can look to those for inspiration, adapt them for the unique challenges of AI.
Exactly. But we also got to remember that AI is different from anything we've seen before. It can learn, adapt, and who knows, maybe even become smarter than us. That raises a whole new set of ethical and practical issues.
Right, and all those articles you sent talk about ethical frameworks, basically setting guidelines for how AI should be developed and used. But who decides what those guidelines should be, and how do we enforce them, especially on a global scale?
Yeah, That's the tricky part. There's no one global authority that can just dictate AI rules to everyone. It's going to require a multi-pronged approach. We need governments, international organizations, industry leaders, and the public all working together.
It's a team effort, huh?
Definitely. Each group brings something different to the table. Governments can make laws. International organizations can encourage cooperation. Industry leaders can set best practices. And the public can hold everyone accountable.
Okay, makes sense. But how do we get everyone on the same page? AI is a global thing, and different countries have different priorities.
Right. It's a complicated landscape. That's where those international organizations like the UN come in. They can facilitate discussions, help countries work together, and find some common ground on AI governance.
So like a global forum for talking about AI and finding solutions.
Exactly. You could call it AI diplomacy. We need a global agreement on the ethical principles that should guide AI development.
That sounds like a huge challenge. But let's say we manage to get everyone to agree. How do we actually turn those principles into, like, concrete actions?
Well, that's where we have to get into the nitty-gritty. We need to come up with specific regulations and guidelines for different aspects of AI. Things like data privacy, algorithmic bias, how AI is used in healthcare, law enforcement, stuff like that.
So different rules for different applications.
Exactly. One size fits all doesn't work here. We got to consider the risks and benefits of AI in each specific context.
Makes sense. But who's going to enforce all these rules? It's not like there's an AI police force running around.
Not yet anyway. Enforcement will probably involve a mix of government oversight, industry self-regulation, and public pressure. Transparency is going to be key.
So making sure people understand how these AI systems work, how decisions are being made, holding the people in charge accountable.
Exactly. We got to demystify AI, make it something everyone can understand, and give people the tools to demand ethical and responsible development.
So it all circles back to education and engagement.
It always does. At the end of the day, the future of AI is up to us. It depends on our collective wisdom, our choices, our willingness to be a part of this conversation.
So it's not about being afraid of AI. It's about understanding it, shaping it, making sure it works for us, not against us.
Exactly. We have the power to steer this technology in the right direction, to create a world where AI helps us solve problems and make life better.
I gotta say, after this deep dive, I'm feeling a lot more hopeful about the future of AI.
Me too. It's been a great conversation. And remember, this is just the beginning. The story of AI is still being written, and we all have a part to play.
That's a wrap for our deep dive into the world of AI. Hopefully you found it informative, thought-provoking, maybe even a little inspiring. Keep those brains buzzing, stay curious, and remember, the future is in our hands.